This is the Netherlands. A country smaller than West Virginia, yet it feeds hundreds of millions of people across the world. With just 17 million citizens and barely 1% of Europe's farmland, it has somehow become the planet's second largest exporter of food, outranking giants with hundreds of times more land. The story of how they did it is both miraculous and deeply controversial. 2 decades ago, the Dutch embraced a radical vision: to grow twice as much food using half as many resources. Since then, agriculture has been transformed into a high-tech science of precision. Potato yields are now double the global average, greenhouses use 90% less water, and Dutch seeds help shape the diets of billions of people worldwide. But this agricultural miracle was not built on luck. It was born out of famine, strengthened by relentless innovation, and today faces a new reckoning with environmental limits and political unrest. This is the story of how the Netherlands feeds the world, and why its model may offer both a solution and a warning for the future. You're watching Geologic, where we uncover the hidden forces that shape our world. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. The Netherlands may account for only 1% of Europe's farmland, but it produces 6% of the continent's food. That's because it has turned farming into a system of precision. More than 24,000 acres of crops are grown under glass, an area nearly twice the size of Manhattan. These greenhouses operate year-round and can achieve yields that would take 10 acres of conventional farmland to match. Water efficiency is just as staggering. To produce a single pound of tomatoes, Dutch farms use half a gallon of water. In China, that same pound requires 34 gallons. The global average is 28. A single acre of Dutch greenhouse farming delivers the same harvest as 10 acres of open land. The results are everywhere. Dutch farmers harvest more than 1.5 million tons of onions each year, 92% of which are exported. They produce nearly 1 million tons of tomatoes annually, worth $2 billion in trade. Potato yields surpass 20 tons per acre, more than double the global average. A Dutch farmer will harvest almost twice as many potatoes as a farmer in India, and 3 times as much wheat as a farmer in Brazil. Altogether, the Netherlands now produces 4 times more food than it consumes. Behind this are technologies that have become standard practice. Drones and sensors monitor soil moisture and plant health in real time. Automated systems deliver nutrients on a per-plant basis. Robotic milking machines and automated feed units have reshaped livestock farming. It is a system designed to maximize production, minimize waste, and make the most out of every square meter of land. This obsession with food security is not an accident. It is rooted in one of the darkest chapters of Dutch history, the Hunger Winter of 1944 to 1945. During the final year of the Second World War, a German blockade cut off food and fuel supplies to the Western Netherlands. As temperatures dropped, rations fell to just 580 calories a day. Over 22,000 people died. Many survived only by eating tulip bulbs and sugar beets. The famine left scars far deeper than the immediate loss of life. Studies later revealed that children conceived during the famine carried long-term health impacts. Decades later, they showed higher risks of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. A single season of hunger left an imprint that stretched across generations. It makes you wonder, how much can one event change the course of a nation, even shape the health of its people decades later? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. When the war ended, Dutch leaders made a vow: never again would the country be left so vulnerable. Food security became a national priority. Agriculture was modernized, mechanized, and heavily supported by government policy. Farmers received subsidies to invest in new equipment. Universities and research institutes were tied directly into the effort. Out of hunger came a determination to never be hungry again, and that determination would lay the foundation for the Netherlands' transformation into a food superpower. After the war, the Netherlands treated food security as a matter of survival. The government encouraged farmers to intensify production, mechanize their operations, and specialize in crops or livestock. Subsidies flowed into new equipment and modern facilities. Cooperatives grew stronger, stabilizing supply chains and helping small farmers survive in a rapidly industrializing system. From 1950 to 1980, Agricultural output rose by more than 60%, even as the total farmland shrank due to urban expansion. Fertilizer use tripled, milk yields doubled, and poultry farming became fully industrialized. At the same time, the European Union's Common Agricultural Policy provided steady subsidies, shaping farming across the continent. But the transformation wasn't just about machines and money. It was about knowledge. Dutch universities developed applied agricultural science programs that became deeply integrated with national policy. Farmers were not left behind. They were trained, educated, and supported in adapting to new methods. Agriculture was reimagined as both a business and a science, with the state acting as a partner. This post-war revolution set the stage for what came next: the rise of the Netherlands as the world's leading hub of agricultural innovation. At the heart of Dutch innovation lies Wageningen University, often ranked as the world's #1 institution for agricultural science. Surrounding it is Food Valley, home to more than 1,500 companies, labs, and startups. It is sometimes described as the Silicon Valley of food, a place where researchers, entrepreneurs, and multinationals work side by side. 15 of the world's 20 largest agri-food companies, from Nestle to Coca-Cola, have research centers here. Some share laboratories with university teams, while others test new models of crop science, logistics, and food safety. Nearly every part of the food system, seeds, packaging, cold storage, automation, and transport, can be found within a short drive of Wageningen. Then there is Seed Valley, located in North Holland. This region has become the world's leading hub for developing new plant varieties, particularly vegetables. Dutch companies like Enza Zayden and Rijk Zwaan specialize in breeding crops that are more resilient to disease and climate change. One breakthrough was a tomato resistant to the brown rugose fruit virus, a blight that devastated crops worldwide. Thanks to molecular marker technology, what once took a decade of breeding can now be done in half the time. The global reach of this innovation is staggering. Every day, an estimated 2.5 billion people eat vegetables grown from Dutch-bred seeds. For a country of fewer than 18 million people, it is a level of influence that extends far beyond its borders. The Netherlands is not just revolutionizing the way we grow traditional crops, it is pushing the boundaries of what food itself can be. Vertical farms rise inside old warehouses, where LED lights and hydroponics allow lettuce and herbs to grow without soil or sunlight. Aquaponic systems link fish tanks with plant beds, creating closed loops where waste from one species becomes nutrients for another. In 2013, a Dutch company, Mosa Meat, unveiled the world's first lab-grown burger in Maastricht. Since then, the Netherlands has remained a leader in cultured meat research, an innovation that could reshape global protein supply without the environmental cost of raising livestock. Insects too are on the menu. Mealworms and crickets are being developed as sustainable protein sources, with Dutch researchers at the forefront. There are even experiments with robotic pollinators, tiny drones designed to take over the work of bees whose populations are declining worldwide. Combined with artificial intelligence, blockchain traceability, and next-generation automation, the Dutch vision of farming is no longer just about the field or the greenhouse. It is about reinventing the very definition of agriculture. Geography has always been central to the Dutch story. Much of the farmland that powers this agricultural machine exists only because it was engineered from the sea. 17% of the Netherlands is reclaimed land, known as polders, created by draining marshes and lakes behind dikes. Over time, rain and river water washed away salt, leaving behind fertile, nutrient-rich delta soils. Unlike most landscapes, these new lands had no natural ecosystems or forests to displace, making them a blank slate for intensive farming. Flat terrain, easy irrigation, and proximity to major rivers created natural advantages. Then came the port of Rotterdam, now Europe's largest. Almost everything that enters or leaves the continent by ship flows through this single gateway. Dutch exports are therefore boosted not just by what they produce, but by what they re-export. Cocoa beans, soy, palm oil, and countless other imports land in Rotterdam before being shipped across Europe. This inflates export numbers, but it also cements the Netherlands as the logistical hub of the European food system. For all its success, the Dutch model comes with a price. The country's farming system is one of the most energy-intensive in the world. Glass greenhouses rely on natural gas for heating and artificial lighting, especially in winter. That means every tomato and cucumber carries an invisible carbon footprint tied to fossil fuels. Then there is livestock. The Netherlands has almost 4 million cattle, 10 million pigs, and around 100 million chickens packed into one of the smallest countries in Europe. This density produces enormous amounts of nitrogen runoff, which seeps into soils and waterways. It acidifies the land, pollutes groundwater, and reduces biodiversity. In 2019, the Netherlands' highest administrative court ruled that nitrogen emissions were so severe they violated national and European law. The impact was immediate. 18,000 construction projects, including homes and roads, were frozen. The government floated the idea of cutting livestock numbers by half by 2030, sparking outrage. Farmers pointed out that they had already reduced emissions by nearly 2/3 since 1990 through better technology. To them, the demand felt like betrayal. After decades of being told to expand, they were now being ordered to shrink. The backlash was fierce. Thousands of farmers drove their tractors onto highways, blocking traffic from Amsterdam to Eindhoven. Manure and hay were set on fire, and upside-down Dutch flags were flown as a symbol of defiance. These protests grew into a movement that shook Dutch politics. In 2023, the farmer citizen movement, born out of these demonstrations, won the most seats in the Senate, an unprecedented rise for a party less than 4 years old. Behind the spectacle lies a deeper tension. Many Dutch farmers feel abandoned by a state that once supported them. Rural services have been cut while urban areas receive greater investment. Land prices have skyrocketed, making it nearly impossible for young farmers to inherit or expand. And beyond economics, there is personal cost. Farming has some of the highest stress and suicide rates in Europe. For those who have built their lives around feeding the country, being told to stop is not just a policy. It is an identity crisis. The conflict has left the Netherlands at a crossroads. It is a nation that feeds the world, yet struggles to reconcile its efficiency with its environmental and social limits. The Netherlands is not the only country rethinking food. Israel has mastered agriculture in deserts, using drip irrigation to turn arid landscapes green. Singapore, a city-state smaller than most Dutch provinces, is building vertical farms on rooftops and experimenting with lab-grown seafood to reduce its reliance on imports. What makes the Dutch unique is the scale. Israel and Singapore innovate to survive. The Netherlands innovates to supply. Its greenhouses, seed companies, and food technologies influence diets on every continent. When you bite into a tomato in the United States, eat a cucumber in Asia, or taste a salad in Africa, chances are the seeds were bred in Dutch labs. But this dominance raises questions. Should the world emulate the Netherlands' model of industrial precision farming? Or should it be cautious of the environmental costs hidden beneath its glowing greenhouses? The stakes could not be higher. The United Nations estimates that humanity will need to grow more food in the next 40 years than all farmers have produced in the last 8,000 combined. Doing that sustainably may be the greatest challenge of our time. For the Dutch, the future is complicated. Rising seas threaten the very polders their farms are built on. Energy costs are rising, and dependence on natural gas clashes with climate goals. Yet innovation continues. Rotterdam now hosts floating farms where cows live on water. Researchers are developing climate-proof crops, protein-rich insects, and lab-grown meats that might one day replace conventional livestock. The Netherlands began by conquering the sea. Today, it leads in conquering hunger. But its next challenge is even greater: feeding the world without destroying the planet. The story of Dutch agriculture is a story of resilience. From famine to abundance, from reclaimed land to global leadership, the Netherlands has redefined what farming can look like. Yet efficiency has come at a cost, one that farmers, ecosystems, and future generations must reckon with. Do you think the Dutch model represents the future of farming, or is it too costly for the planet? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to Geologic, where geography and human survival collide.